Today I'm going to try to answer the question, what does a deacon do? This seems to be one of the most asked questions I get, and I'll do my best to answer it. Some people out there watching might be thinking, they don't do much, do they? Well, others might be that know us might be thinking, you guys do a lot. In either case, I'll do my best to answer this question. And just so you know, as I kind of go into some of the things we do, some of them I'm going to go into quite a bit of detail, and others I won't. And that's just because of the experience that I have. So, grab your favorite beverage, and let's get started. Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to A Deacon's Life. My name is Deacon Tom Michaud. So what do deacons do? Before we get started, I'm going to change up the background a little bit. So let's go. What do you think? I like it. All right. So let's begin by talking about what most people see deacons do. They see us do baptisms, do the baptism prep. That's one of the highlights. I think when I ask deacons what they think of doing baptisms, we love doing them. It's just awesome to be with the family, to bring that child into the church. It's just great. We also witness marriages, another highlight. When I witness the marriage, I also will meet with that couple at least 6 times prior to witnessing their marriage to get to know who they are, their background, family. It just, one, so they get to know who's witnessing their marriage. Another is, as I'm doing this sacrament, I get to know them and the family. It's just wonderful. Then I can tailor the homily to that couple, to that situation, around the gospel message, which then leads to deacons do homilies. So you're used to seeing deacons assist at Mass. They set the altar, they assist the priest, they're ordinary ministers of the Eucharist, they do the dismissal at the end. Those are kind of the things you see deacons do. But we do a lot more than that. There's so much that you don't see deacons do, and I think that's one of the reasons why people really don't understand the diaconate or don't understand what we do for the church, and in the community. I'm just going to kind of go through some of these. Some I've done, some I haven't. Go into some detail into some and not in others. Now, this is not a full list of what we do. It's quite a bit, but it's not a full list. So if you're watching this and you're a deacon or you're not a deacon, but you know of other things deacons do. I'm not talking job. I'm talking in regards to the diaconate. What kind of things that deacons do out there? Do a comment below. Or you can email me the comment at adeaconslife@gmail.com. Let's get started. So deacons do a lot. I'm going to look down. Let's see. All right, so one of the things that a lot of deacons are assigned to is prison ministry. And when I say prison ministry, that could be in the prisons or correctional facilities. I myself have not been in the prison. So I've been to prison, but they let me out each time. I've been in the prison for 7 years. I no longer am doing that, but it was wonderful. I have to admit, the first time I walked into a prison, I was scared. I didn't know what to expect. How were they going to treat me? What was going to happen? But after that first time, I fell in love with it. I enjoyed going there. I look forward to doing it. So while I was in the prisons, it was a lot of, at first, just listening. And that's, I think, most of these that I'll list off, that's most of what we end up doing is just listening. So I listened, counseled at times, prayed with, and then I also found myself helping these people through the 4th and 5th steps if they're going through AA. So I'd help them through that. And it was an experience, and I loved it. And I also helped out set up times where priests could come in there to do Mass. And if we couldn't get that set up, we'd do communion service. I did a number of those as well. Now, correction facility, a little bit different. So in the prison, usually someone's sentenced for at least a year and a day. At least that's what I've been told by the guards there. But correction facility, they're shorter than that. So in a prison, I got to know some of these people quite well because I didn't just meet them once or twice. I met some probably, years from the first time I was there until I was done, because some were there for life. Others there just for a year, 2 years, 3 years, depending on their situation. But some I got to know really well. And I wouldn't trade that at all, that experience, and to get to know them, their history, their background, their family members. Another things that deacons do is they help out in the hospitals. Some are chaplains in the hospital. What they do is they visit with people that are there. Now, some of these visits could just be they see them once and that's it because they're only in there for a short time. Others get to know the person and their families quite well, depending on how long they're there for. So a lot of it's praying with, it's listening to, spending time with, laughing, crying. It's also helping set up time where they can meet a priest if need be, and they want that, to set that up as well. Now, besides just hospitals, some help out with nursing homes. I know a few that do that. I did about 3-4 months in a nursing home, but it was in the hospice unit part of that. So those that are actively dying. And I spent that time meeting with families, talking with the individual many, many times over that time. And then when I was done with that 4 months, I kind of kept going. It wasn't an assignment, but I kept going. Just because you build that relationship with these people and the families, and then to be with them, with their families as they're dying and praying with them. You're standing on holy ground at that time. It's rewarding, it's draining. You laugh with them and you're crying with them. You're just walking with them at that time in their life. Another thing that we do is there's an individual that's assigned to the Catholic Watchman in our archdiocese, which is new. He's doing a great job. You'll see his articles in the Catholic Spirit. I got to know him pretty well over his formation time. Because another thing deacons do is they be a dean in the diaconate program. I was a dean for 5 years. That was an experience to get to know the men and their wives and their families as they're going through formation, God willing being ordained a deacon. During that time, I went to class with them, during mostly the Saturdays, some Tuesdays as well, but mostly during the Saturdays that they went. Also, outside of the classes, I would spend time with them, go grab a cup of coffee, maybe get dinner, sit down with the spouse as well in their house. Would also spend time with their kids, ask them, hey, what do you think of this? Their dad going through the program, talk to the wife, what do they think? Do they see a change? How's the family life going? Just catching up and checking in type of stuff. It was very rewarding, very time consuming though too, to try to balance out my family as well as being a dean. But it was great. And then to watch those men be ordained. It was great. It was great. Another thing is marriage prep. A lot of deacons help with marriage prep. To walk with that engaged couple. Sometimes asking hard questions. Not sometimes. We ask the hard questions about marriage and certain things that we learn about that couple and go deep into it. It's also rewarding. Yeah, I'm going to say that a lot. This is rewarding. It is. Just to help and do the work of the church is rewarding. One of the other things I was assigned to after being ordained for a brief time was helping out with the area I was in with the RCIA program and adult faith formation. So where I was at, they didn't have an RCIA program. Small community, 3 parishes. So myself and others put the program together, and for 3-4 years, I was part of that. Running the RCIA program, bringing in speakers. It was awesome to get to know so many of the men and women entering into the church that wanted to. It was great. Also, some deacons have been assigned as police chaplains. Now, I don't know much of this. I have talked to one of the individuals. He had to go through some special training for that. I don't know much about it, but that's another thing that deacons have been assigned to. My own residence, I'm not sure about that one, but I did look that one up, helping out in that residence. There's a deacon that does that. I know others have assisted over the years as well. Then something else, not assigned to, but do. So for example, I also helped out with Extreme Faith Camp. I did that for 7 years. The only year I haven't done is this one coming up because of the COVID, and it's been canceled. But that was such a rewarding experience, Extreme Faith Camp. If you're not familiar with it, just Google it. You'll see videos out there. Many priests go there, other deacons go there. It's pretty cool. It's fun. Also, youth group. I do quite a bit. Wherever I've been assigned, I found myself kind of getting pulled in that direction, which was rewarding. To be with those youth that just want to be there. Not forced to be there, but truly want to be there. Starting up one from kind of the ground up and growing that and seeing that go, and then being assigned and doing that at another one. And they had a great program going on where I was assigned. Now where I'm currently at, St. Joe's in West St. Paul, there'd be a regular, so they meet every Wednesday, and it was 60, 70, 80 kids showing up because they want to be there. And then also what comes with that is the retreats they go on, from the Steubenville retreats to Catholic Heart Work Camp. It's been rewarding. It's been fun to get to know them. And now as my kids continue to go through that, as they graduate from high school and attend college, to still see those people I was with at Extreme Faith Camp to youth group and still talk with them. It's pretty cool to see them from the age of 8th grade, and then all of a sudden they're 2 years into college, and just to see that transformation is pretty neat. Let's see. Oh, okay. So another thing in the Deacon program is IDF, Institute of Deacon Formation. That's just the office of formation. And a lot of people help out with that. So you heard me say dean. So there's the dean. But then there's also so much more that happens in there. So there's people that will help out with the teaching of that, just help out with the application process, the scrutinies team. I mentioned that in one of the other videos. I will talk about that. It's great being on this side of it, but when I had a scrutiny team looking at me, asking me a bunch of questions, it was nerve-wracking at times, but the more you did it, the more you realized it was an absolute blessing to have a team of individuals, being deacons and lay people and priests, just checking in with you and asking you about your experience in the program. Do you feel called to this? Why is that? And the spouses there as well, asking about their children, how it's going. It's a great process and a great way for the church to discern with the individual if they're called to the diaconate program. Another thing that is some deacons put on retreats. Now, not a lot, just telling you right now. There's a few that put on the retreats for deacons, as well as others, and they're great at it. You probably know some of them as well, but they do such a great job. It's such a gift that they have. They can offer this up for the church, and at some moment in time, if you ever have that opportunity to go on a retreat that's led by a few of the deacons, I think you'll love the experience. Also, some are assigned to the Office of Worship, the Office of Family Formation. I mentioned some are assigned to nursing homes, but others, that's their job as well. So during this time, I've heard some stories while COVID is happening and still happening, the experience that they were going through and still going through. It's amazing. What an example they are to truly just enter into this ministry, knowing that some people are sick, but loving them where they are, caring for them, helping them, being that communication between the family member and the individual in the nursing home. You've seen some of the stuff on the news, and they're inside there helping and bringing Christ to those they meet. The stories are wonderful. Also, I know there was a deacon that was a chaplain to the Sierra Club, did that for a couple years, doesn't do that anymore. But again, this is just a handful of things that deacons do. Now, I just listed off some, kind of got into a little bit about some of those as well. But with all of that said, it all has to start with prayer. I know before I go into any of the things that I do, I start with prayer before I walk into that room. Lord, I need you with me. Help me through this. You show up. You do the work. Let me just be your instrument. And then when I'm done, I end in prayer, thanking him, hoping I didn't mess it up too much by getting in the way. But it all starts with prayer. Now, all these things I just listed, don't get overwhelmed if you're thinking about the diaconate, because you're not going to do all these things at the same time. You'll be assigned a parish, so where the sacraments happen, but then also, mostly, not all, we'll get assigned something else. An outside ministry is what it's called. You're not going to be assigned to 4 of them, okay? So don't get overwhelmed, all right? So, like for example, when I was first ordained, I was assigned to a parish as well as to the RCIA program, something I started while in formation. And this was just a continuation of that. Okay. But when I got reassigned, I still was doing that, but then I started helping out with the youth. Then when I got reassigned again, I helped out with the youth program, wasn't assigned to that. I was then asked to help out with being a dean for 5 years. It wasn't an official assignment per se, but I did that. So parish, dean, as well as with the youth. But also in there, I was never assigned to prison ministry. It's something that I continue doing for 7 years. So I've been ordained 10. So 7 of the 10 years, I was in the prisons helping out with that. But I was never assigned. It's something that, as an intern, that if you're in the process of thinking of being ordained, you're in formation, that'll be one of the interns you do. But when that ended, they asked me if I would continue on. The prison did. And I said yes, but it wasn't an official assignment. So now think of this. You have roughly 16,000 deacons in the U.S. Roughly 500 in this diocese. Archdiocese of St. Paul, Minneapolis, if you're not from here and wondering where I'm at. So 500 men doing this type of work, and you don't even know it. Now, I didn't list off all the things that deacons do or assigned to, because I just don't know all of it. But could you imagine if they weren't doing it? Could you imagine if all of a sudden the deacons just stopped? I think then you would notice how much deacons do in this archdiocese, because just certain things probably just wouldn't get done, because there's so many men, deacons, that are doing this. Now, I'm not saying others aren't, because obviously they are. But if you have that many people doing this many things, it would be noticed if we weren't doing it. Now, that was just a glimpse into some of the things that we do. I hope it helped. Hope I didn't scare anyone away if you're discerning the diaconate. But if you are, keep praying about it, keep serving. Until next time, God bless.